The movie begins in the Air and Space Museum, where Major Olga tries to make her niece named Elio to eat something, but he doesn't respond to her. We find out that Elio is in this sad state because he lost his parents recently, and Olga has been taking care of Elio, who found it really hard to connect with other kids his age. Just as Olga greets her old-time friend, Elio wanders off and ends up in an exhibit for the Voyager 1. Elio becomes so fascinated by the wonders of outer space, and the possibility that there is life outside of Earth. Ever since that moment, Elio becomes so obsessed to leave Earth and meet aliens. He tries different methods to reach out to them hoping to get abducted, but this made it really hard for his auntie Olga to actually bond with him. Elio believes it is because she gave up her dreams of being an astronaut to take care of him. During one of his nightly beach visits to try and get abducted by aliens, Elio comes across two other boys, Bryce and Caleb, who heard about Elio's exploits. Elio finally hears alien sounds from the radio, and just as he tries to understand them, those two kids drag the radio with him, and he ended up getting a bruised eye after the radio hits him and falls to the ground destroyed. Elio gets angry and pounces on one of the bullies. Auntie Olga picks him from the hospital and is so pissed with Elio fighting on the beach and skipping school, maybe she's gonna have to put a tracker on him. Auntie Olga later takes Elio to work at her base. She is brought to meet with a scientist, Gunther Melnick, who thinks the computers have picked up a message from another planet after making contact with the Voyager. Olga doesn't believe a word he said, and even sends him back home, suspending him for 2 weeks. Elio sneaks in and waits until everyone left the room. He then sends a message hoping to join them in outer space, signed off with "Okay, bye, I love you." The message manages to send, but this shuts down power to the whole base. Elio excitingly packs all his important belongings to get himself ready for the alien to come and take him, but Auntie Olga gets so pissed off, telling him to stop. She tells him aliens are not coming for him, and he is going out of control. She almost lost her job because of him. Auntie Olga decided to try something different by moving him to a boarding school, but Elio believes she's just trying to get rid of him. Auntie Olga really wants Elio to make at least a friend, but Elio tells her that he doesn't care about friends. He needs to meet aliens because there's 500 million habitable planet out there, and one of them will gotta want him because he believes his auntie obviously doesn't want him. The next morning, Auntie Olga still takes Elio to the boarding school. She tells him she was also here when she was a kid, and even though he might not believe her, she assures that this place will be good for him. Those bullies turned out to also be in that school. They planned to teach Elio a lesson because they were sent here because of him. Later that night, Elio tries to contact the aliens again, but hears the bullies approaching his camp and tries to run away from them through the forest. On the other hand, Olga is at work when the computers begin to malfunction, until she receives a message saying, "Bring us your leader, please." Elio gets caught by the bullies, and just as they try to beat him up, time begins to freeze as a portal in the sky opens, and begins to pull a really happy Elio inside. Elio is brought to the Communiverse, a place in outer space where the leaders from other planets come together and share knowledge from other worlds in the galaxy. He meets a liquid supercomputer called OO, who assists Elio communicate with the aliens and handed him a disk to regulate his gravity and body temperature. He then meets ambassadors Questa, Helix, and Tegman, who welcome him to the Communiverse after mistaking him for being the real leader of Earth, since they intercepted his message but assumed he sent the Voyager spacecraft himself. Before Elio can clarify things, the other ambassadors must handle another candidate who wants to join the Communiverse. His name is Lord Griggan of the Hylarchian race. He is an aggressive, bloodthirsty tyrant, so the other ambassadors don't want to have anything to do with him. Griggan angrily tells them that if he can't be allowed to join the Communiverse, then he shall take it by force. Because of this threat, the ambassadors want to run and hide. They plan to go to the end of the cosmos and turn off all the lights. They tell Elio that they will no longer be accepting a new member because of their current situation, and tells him to go back to Earth. Elio gets flashes on the rough life he had on Earth. Instead of going back to such a life, Elio chooses to personally negotiate with Griggan himself, which might help make him ambassador of Earth more quickly. He even uses his eye patch as proof of his battle scars to show that he is what it takes. The others accepted his request and sends Elio on the mission with the liquid computer. The liquid computer takes a flue from Elio's nose for a DNA sample, and then uses it to help Elio make a clone of himself, other Elio, which is sent back to Earth to fulfill Elio's role while he is out in space. He also handed a universal user guide to assist him come up with negotiation strategies when communicating with Griggan. Elio is taken to the Hylarchian mothership where he meets with Griggan. Elio sees how diabolical Griggan is, because he kills weaker creatures for fun. No wonder the Communiverse doesn't want him to join them. Elio smartly tells Griggan that if they don't want him, that doesn't mean there isn't someone in the universe that won't want a powerful being like him. Just as Elio seems to be already convincing Griggan, one of his men interrupts their talk, saying his son wants to see him. Griggin tries to relate with Elio, thinking he is also a father like him. Griggin complains that it is so difficult because his son has no concept of the importance of his word. Elio replies him that if his son is too hot to handle, he should just ship him off, but this gets Griggin angry, as he thinks Elio is looking down on him for not being able to handle his own son. Griggin ends their negotiation and has Elio imprisoned in his cell. Back on Earth, Auntie Olga drives the clone Elio home from camp after learning that he was in a fight. However, she is surprised to see that this Elio is now more sociable and agreeable after just one day at camp. In the prison, just as Elio tries to escape, he meets Griggin's son Glorden, who looks like a large worm. Elio noticed that Glorden is the opposite of his father because he is kind-hearted. He shows Elio his robot armor, making Elio realize that Griggin is not actually powerful, but it's just the armor he wears that makes him seem scary. Glorden noticed the whole guards looking for Elio, who escaped from prison, and asks if he's some kind of assassin, but Elio opens up to him that he is just a child who just got here, and now the universe are depending on him to rescue them from his father. Glorden agrees to help Elio, and he figures out a very good plan. He plans to use Glorden as the bargaining chip. This means that he wants to act like he kidnapped Griggin's son, and use it to bargain with Griggin to leave the Communiverse alone in exchange for his son. Just as they sneak out of Griggin's ship, Elio has to hide inside Glorden's mouth to avoid being consumed by lava. The boys make it back to the Communiverse and contact Griggin. Just as Glorden plays along, Elio tells Griggin that he will only hand over his son only when he agrees to withdraw his army from the Communiverse and never return. He tickles Glorden, but Griggin thinks Elio is just torturing his son, so he decided to give in to Elio's request, and agrees to back off from the Communiverse, then prepares to go pick up Glorden. Since Glorden has never been to the Communiverse before, Elio decided to show him how fun the place is. The both of them bonded together, ate amazing foods, and did crazy things together. While the other ambassadors celebrate and prepare to make Elio an official ambassador, they even make him a badge using his favorite color. Just as Griggin arrives at the Communiverse to take his son back after promising to withdraw his army, Glorden admits to Elio that he doesn't want to go back. He cries because he doesn't want to be a war machine just like his father. Elio then comes up with a solution. He decided to clone Glorden so that he can go back with Griggin while the real Glorden stays with Elio. Back home, Olga starts to bond with other Elio until she starts to notice he's a little too different. Since when does Elio wash dishes, or even respect her so much? This is just way too suspicious. Later that evening, Olga smartly took one of his hair strand to run some tests, but what caught her off guard was when the hair started moving. Olga decided to sneak inside his room and peels back the eye patch, revealing other Elio only has one eye. He wakes up and proceeds to explain himself. Meanwhile, Elio hides Glorden inside a ship and takes the clone one to Griggin. Just as the clone gets inside the carapace as he doesn't want his son to be vulnerable anymore, Griggin keeps to his words to never return. Just as the clone started to leave the Communiverse with Griggin, Griggin becomes suspicious because it's unlike his son to be so excited about conquering planets and going to wars. Due to this, Griggin realized that this is not his actual son. He melts the clone and becomes enraged with Elio and the Communiverse. Elio wonder how he could tell that it's not his son. Griggin replies that a father always knows his son. He threatens one of the ambassador to get inside Elio's head, where they did not only find out where his real son is, but the Council of Leaders found out that Elio has been lying to them. He is not the leader of Earth nor the leader of anything. They open the portal to Earth to send him back, but before that happens, Griggin shows up really pissed off because he still hasn't found his son. He proceeds to have his soldiers hold the ambassadors captive, and tear the place apart to look for Glorden. During this chaos, one of the ambassadors sends Elio back to Earth to save his life, although blaming him for the reason they got into the mess. When the Hylarchians go looking for him, Glorden accidentally turns his ship on and is sent to Earth. Elio washes up on a shore, where he finds Olga and other Elio together. While he thinks that the clone has officially replaced him, Elio overhears Olga begging for their plan to work, as she is hoping to make contact for Elio to come back. He goes to meet her and reveals himself, leading to their reconciliation. Elio gets really emotional because he never realized that Olga really cares about him. They notice something serious happening in the military base. It is revealed to be where Glorden's ship crash-landed. Olga rushes Elio and the clone there, and other Elio creates a distraction by dissolving himself so that Elio and Olga can get inside. Glorden is now beginning to get weaker from hypothermia due to his body not adjusting to Earth's temperature. The two activate the ship and head off into space. Elio and Olga are in a serious trouble since the ship cannot go into hyperspeed, because they are heading towards a debris belt. Elio manages to call one of his bully Bryce through a radio. To Elio's surprise, Bryce feels really for what happened earlier, but Elio forgives him and admits he was wrong too. He asks for assistance in maneuvering past the debris, which leads to Bryce getting in touch with Melmac to help guide Elio and Olga. They get hit a lot and nearly destroy their shields, but they manage to get through it and reach a safe point to go into hyperspeed. The ship crashes into the Communiverse, and Elio and Olga quickly take Glorden to Griggon's side. Upon looking at his dying son, Griggon pulls out his armor to reveal his regular wormy form. He wraps Glorden in webs and swaddles him, helping Glorden wake up. When Glorden wakes up, Griggon asks Elio and his son to explain themselves. Glorden admits to Griggon that he doesn't want to follow in his footsteps of being a war machine, but Griggon reveals he already knows, and although he may not understand him, Glorden is still his son and he still really loves him. Griggon utters the word he has never uttered before by saying sorry to Elio and the Communiverse. The Council of Leaders handed Elio his badge to join them. Even though he lied to them, he sacrificed himself for another, which shows the potentials of a leader in him. Elio is so happy, only Olga isn't happy in this moment, as it means Elio won't return with her. Elio noticed her sadness and returns their badge back to them. He adds that this place is amazing, but Earth is amazing too. He didn't give it a try, but he wants to now. The Communiverse brings Elio and Olga back to Earth. Everyone from the camp to the military base, as well as Melmac, witnesses the ship arriving, while Elio and Olga watch it leave together. The end.